Veronique, Tony, thank you so much. And I think, there's a lot to achieve if we work together in Europe. And here at Smart Country Convention are a lot of booths from international and European examples, so feel free to stroll around, check them out, so that we can work together to be a European digital sovereign unity. And now we're coming from the United Team Europe to a concrete European city example. Now our next stop takes us to Prague, where the city has been building its own open source data platform. I hope I say it right, it's Golemio. And Golemio brings together and interprets over 100 data sets to improve daily urban life. From transport planning to waste collection and even to busting urban myths. So I'm really excited now. And please join me in welcoming Jaromir Beranek, the chairman of the International Relations Committee from Prague. Hi, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, good afternoon, everyone, and my 15 minutes of glory. I'm sorry about speaking in English. Ich habe meinen Vortrag auf Englisch vorbereitet, aber wenn Sie wollen, können wir danach auf Deutsch sprechen. What I'm bringing to you today is the presentation of our success story of the Golemio data platform in Prague, which has been in development ever since 2018. It helped us to pass through the crisis, and now I would say we are way more experienced than we used to be in the past, having learned from the best in the field. At the beginning, we took the inspiration from, let's say, the world or maybe European leaders such as Amsterdam or London. And today, as was mentioned, we have not just over 100, but maybe over 120 data sets in practice. And we are still learning and trying to make the best out of it. Let me just start to... Is it working? Maybe not. Do we have another clicker? Oh yeah, it's working now. So it was just a bit low. Okay, let me just start with a brief introduction of our beautiful city. I guess most of you have been already to Prague, have visited our capital. And as you know, we are not a big country, but we actually have a few data platforms in the Czech Republic altogether. And the Prague data platform is certainly the most developed and oldest one. But this is not a competition. We are trying to do our best to inspire the others and also to bring the true value to the business, because that was one source of our inspiration when I was talking about London and the story of London Data Store. It used to be said that it helped to create the value of over 1 billion pounds or euros, if you want, at that time. Now, in the center core of our Smart Prague project agenda is really the data platform Golemio, but it encompasses the whole area, across and over all the smart city applications, as we are talking about them throughout this whole convention. And my favorite certainly would be mobility, because myself, as the chairman of International Relations Committee, frequently traveling to other cities and having the pleasure to talk to the local representatives, one center topic that brings us all together is the question of mobility, because it has a lot to do with the sustainability, with getting around, with our everyday needs. Also, talking about the other areas like improvement of air quality or improvement of city services. For that all, we need reliable data. And I already mentioned at the beginning of my presentation the COVID pandemic, which was guided through by the data platform when it came to the vaccination procedures. And we were really able to master, let's say, the origins of vaccination processes thanks to very easy registration of the clients, of our citizens with the individual vaccination centers. Now, I have a few examples of the data that we collect and make public to everyone. And as was mentioned at the beginning, we have our data platform open sourced. We started with one of the commercial products, but after a while we decided to go really on our own. But still, we use the Microsoft BI for visualizations of the data. And we even experimented with our own graphics and tried to make it, let's say, a little bit more viable and attractive also for young people and students. but it turned out after a while that this was not a very successful story. So we just keep it open for the expert community, like you or everyone in the public that would be interested, and let everyone to connect it to their APIs and possibly make it use further on. Now, I was talking about the smart waste collection. This project also belongs to one of the oldest projects that was started already in 2019 with the idea to facilitate the coordination of sorted waste collection and possibly optimize the number of travelers of the collection vehicles, and also to save some costs. It soon turned out that we were not able to save as much money due to long-term contracts, but at least we have the data, and now we are in the process of changing the contracts in the years to come so that it can be a little bit more flexible and possibly also save a little bit of the environment, congestions and air pollution thanks to a limited number of the rides. This is just one image that shows the practical example, and now to the big numbers. At the moment we have over 7,700 sensors deployed all over the city, and they would be mostly installed in high volume containers, both underground and overground, that are used for glass, tins, and also plastic and paper. But as it turned out, it has the greatest reliability when it comes to glass, because the sorted paper containers and sorted plastic can be overcrowded quite soon, and the glass simply breaks down and makes it a little bit more reliable. Now, since we are finding ourselves in the cities, in one of the cities with the best public transportation systems in the world, in Berlin, where it's really very easy to get around and the reliability of the connections is very high, we also try to contribute a little bit to the global map of applications, and we were not satisfied by the solutions that were out there in the public space offered by big companies like Google or the others. I just do not want to name any of the names because they're still making the service available. But we decided to go on our own and develop a system that interconnects all the modes of transportation very, let's say, smoothly, and allows us to integrate also functionalities like the availability of park and ride parking spaces or bicycle tires, or what we are currently experimenting with since the last year, that is the demand responsive transport in the neighborhood or the vicinity area close to the city of Prague, which means that we can save a lot of costs when covering rural areas just behind the city border with low occupancy rates of vehicles in the late night or early morning hours. And as it seems, it's very popular. It's getting very popular with the general public, and they learned how to do that. Another very successful example how we managed to utilize our data platform, you know it from Berlin. It's been out there for many years, but in the city of Prague context, it's still quite new. The information plates, the information tables, and it's even so smart, so clever that if you work in a company, you can just download a link and show the departures at your closest tram or bus stop or even underground, and make it really viable and easily to orientate and get around the city just with bits and pieces of information. Now, one of the latest additions to our data collection focus is the public space mobile monitoring, for which we utilize the cars that we already have in the city, because not unlike many other cities, in Prague we monitor the observation of paid parking using camera-equipped cars that simply run around the city every day. It's not everywhere, but we're getting closer and closer to the city borders, and it helps us not just to learn about the status of the vegetation, but also to learn about the conditions, the road surfaces, and possibly also when it comes to traffic signaling or other mishaps in the streets that need to be taken care of. Now, where we are lagging a little bit behind, and certainly a lot behind Germany, is the charging infrastructure. And here you may claim, that it's not really a case for a data platform like we do have. But alas, I would say it's getting more and more relevant because, as it turns out, with slower charging speeds, you need to optimize, first, not to overload the grid, and second, to make it as affordable for the citizens as possible. Because now, since we are having our national election this Friday and Saturday, one of the big topics is the system of European transferable credits, ETS2, and people fear that it will make their everyday life way more expensive. So if you find a way how to distribute the costs of reserved power input and make the charging of their vehicles a little bit more affordable, it could help us a lot with keeping democracy vivid. And last but not least, we also do focus a lot on smart buildings, but this is also nothing new for cities like Berlin or other German cities. On the other hand, we hope to see more photovoltaic installations on the roofs of our city-owned buildings, schools, and other facilities that will help us to utilize the public space on the roofs that is out there readily available. Last but not least, we also did quite a huge installation of sensors that continuously monitor the state of the air quality. You know yourself that with the new regulations focusing on air quality in the European Union, the cities, not just the big cities, but also the smaller cities, will be mandated to improve the air quality all over. And we are finding strategies how to tackle this issue to be ready for the year 2030 to come. And this might be one small contribution that will also guide us through this process. Now, we have over 19 locations equipped with the sensors. We found a hard lesson that we need to really calibrate them correctly and make sure that they are not facing sun or not exposed to really harsh conditions. One of our very successful projects, and this also tackles the data, is our Prague-based competition, which is called Prague Innovation Marathon. This year, we already celebrated the 6th edition, and we invited over 50 teams of mostly composed of young people to introduce their ideas how to improve the city and life in our metropolis and make it possibly even more attractive also for students and for foreign investors. Now, there was this award ceremony at this conference focusing on Smart City Index. We have our own Smart Prague Index, which is being issued every year, covering the news and the data from the last year. We will soon see the 2024 edition, and we hope to attract also a little bit more attention thanks to this unique tool that we created ourselves based on the inspiration from other cities, and we really found out that it's not needed to compare yourself to other cities, but it's best to have your own data and compare yourself to yourself, possibly improve from year to year and learn what needs to be improved in order for the general public to be a little bit more happy about the life in the city. And finally, our Prague Citizen Portal, this was a huge project from 2021 where it was officially started. And we are using it as our small contribution to the digitization of public services. We also have the national system, but our Prague Citizen Portal helps us to register your dogs, register your kids to kindergartens, and possibly in the future also reserving of the public services, such as issuing of new identity cards and others. At the moment, it's widely used. We see increasing numbers of visitors, and we hope to interconnect it with all the state-controlled systems in order to make people even happier about this. And finally, there's a small demonstration of all the data sets that we have out there available. We cooperate with many private companies. If you are interested into that, I will be very glad to talk about it later. And finally, I would like to extend my invitation to the city of Prague. It's really a beautiful place where to go. I'm sorry that I'm presenting this this week, because last week we had a wonderful Prague City Data Conference, also I would say already 5th edition, where we discussed it all. But please, when you have time, come to our city and let me know. I will be happy to guide you through. Thank you.
And thanks to you, Jaromir Beranek, for these tangible examples on how you digitize public service in Prague. Thank you so much. Wir wechseln zurück ins Deutsche und wir bleiben aber noch ein bisschen